Ladies and gentlemen, the Scottish writer Tom Carlyle once wrote that the history of the world is but the biography of great men. And so today we're going to pay tribute to a man whose biography surely merits his own chapter. As a sailor, as an aviator, and a leader for 35 years, Admiral Joe Prueher has served our nation with great distinction in both war and peace. From Annapolis to the skies of Vietnam, to the Sixth Fleet, from the commander of air wings to the commander of carrier groups, he has set a standard which all admire, but a chosen few can never hope to achieve. Socrates, and here you're probably thinking, it's something, if I'm quoting from Socrates, it's sort of like oxtail soup. It's going too far back to get a good thing. But let me say that Socrates said that the shortest and the surest way to live with honor in this world is to be in reality what we would appear to be. Joe Prueher is exactly what he appears to be. A man of principle, free of self-doubt, a man of wisdom, free of narrow thought and negativity, and a man of courage, free of fear. And I might add, a man with a 2 handicap on the golf course and therefore free of any serious competition. But here on the precipice of a new century, America demands extraordinary military leadership. We need leaders who are equally skilled in using the levers of military power as well as the lessons of military diplomacy. And we need leaders who can share the better angels of America's nature, our passion for peace and our devotion to democracy. And we have found such a leader in Joe Prueher. I can see that my words are picking up the weather, and I'm going to try to be as brief as possible, other than to say about Joe Prueher. He has represented us as well as anyone could possibly hope to do in perhaps the greatest expanse of ocean. With 43 separate nations he has traveled to, meeting with leaders, spreading the word as far as our commitment to peace and democracy. 16 separate time zones. Indeed, the footprints of his leadership stretch all the way from Washington to Beijing and from Anchorage to Australia. As long as Joe Prueher has been on the watch, there's never been any doubt about America's resolve and our commitment to the Pacific region. And I guess all of us understand we would all be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to point out that with virtually every step along the way, he has been joined in this journey by his lovely wife, Suzanne. Suzanne, I thank you, America thanks you for your devotion and for your service. As we bid farewell to one Commander-in-Chief, we welcome another. Admiral Denny Blair's talent and his energy are matched only by his intellect and his industry. His past is exceeded only by his potential. His is a career that includes command assignments, a Rhodes Scholarship, and most recently serving as Director of the Joint Staff at the Pentagon. I have personally relied upon his ability to solve the toughest problems in the Pentagon, everything from deployment orders to budget options. And just as I've relied on his experience and his expertise in the Pentagon, I will look forward to his leadership in the Pacific. And I want to take note that much as his wife may have had her roots in high school here in Hawaii, that Denny and I share our origins in the state of Maine. I'm from Bangor, and he is from Kittery, home of the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. But what inspires my great confidence in Admiral Blair is not only his roots, but his resolve and his commitment to the men and women in uniform. There is a Chinese proverb that declares, "The gem cannot be polished without friction, nor man perfected without trial." Denny Blair is one of our very brightest gems, polished and perfected by the rub of test and time. And I know that he and Diane are going to make a great command team. I look forward to their leadership as they take the con at Camp Smith. Winston Churchill said, "Courage is what it takes to stand and to speak. Courage is what it also takes to sit and listen." So let me conclude by saying this is indeed a great day for PACOM, a great day for America. We congratulate the Pruehers, we wish them Godspeed, we welcome the Blairs with unqualified confidence, and we celebrate the outstanding performance of all of the men and women of PACOM who serve America to build a new Pacific future as great as the ocean that links our shores. Thank you very much.
I'll now read my orders.
Attention to orders. Will the guests please rise for the exchange of command?
Company! CN Order 3568 of 22 December. When directed by reporting senior, detach as Commander-in-Chief, U.S. Pacific Command. Sergeant Major, haul down my flag. especially Secretary Cohen. I detest the phrase, took time out of his busy schedule to do something or another. What you really do is force time into a most demanding and physical and intellectual schedule in the world. Mr. Secretary, I thank you for coming and for hundreds of other things as well. Thank you very much. Earlier this week at our command, we had an event that was sort of captured what we do. We designated our enlisted person of the year. Our enlisted person of the year is a petty officer, personnelman, second class, Wee Nguyen, whom I intend to embarrass publicly by talking a little bit about some of his history. I don't really mean to embarrass him publicly. I didn't see any smiles after that. It's just one of my strong suits. But Petty Officer Nguyen was born in Vietnam in 1969. For those of you that were around then, those were pretty tough years in Vietnam. He spent 16 years there. He eventually came through the Philippines to the United States and ended up there in the Washington, D.C. area where he worked. He went to school, and finally he enlisted in the Navy. He was a CB in Guam. He's now here on the staff with a lovely wife, Sandra Lynn, and a 4-year-old daughter. In addition to his work for the Pacific Command and his work trying to educate himself, he also works with Habitat for Humanity, where he tries to bring some of what he has to other people. Now, if you pull this story apart, it has a lot of meaning for a lot of us, as well as just for an exceptional young man. He had an entry level that was fraught with a lot of challenges. That happens to some people. He surmounted this with individual excellence, with initiative, with persistence, and also with opportunity that was given him by a system that allowed him to rise. There's the saying that I like about people that some people were born on third base and think they hit a triple. Petty Officer Nguyen did in fact hit a triple. And this ties, his story ties to the big picture of what we're trying to do here in PACOM. We have a couple of premises for what we do. We try to work together with the political process, the economic process, and the military process. And we try to recognize that military security allows the stable conditions which allow people like Wee Nguyen to pursue economic and political prosperity. It is steady work for our team, and I mean this for our foreign guests as well today, our team in the Asia-Pacific region. It takes a national, it takes a regional vision, and it takes ready and capable forces in our case. Now, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about the command and our people in the Pacific. Jay Johnson and I yesterday, as we were taking a walk, talked a little bit how fortunate we were to have more than our share of commands. What you do at the command is you lead people, and you're a steward of resources. Those resources are not only money, but they're the time, talent, and in fact the lives of our people. And what leaders do is we lead people and we try to manage these resources well. We only get to do it for a short period of time. Now, that last statement is contrasted with what Senator Stevens and Inouye do. They stay forever and be able to do that. But most of our leaders in the military just do it for a short period of time. There's a lot more to say on this subject. I'm going to kind of cut it short, but the point of this is, in addition to leading, we also need to build our successors. And I want to tell a story. Chuck, it's one of my favorite Marine stories that I've used before, and it occurred a few years back, and it typifies the young men and women that you see around us. This was a few years back. We were still flying airplanes. We flew an F-14 into Cherry Point, North Carolina. The bead on the nose tire came loose when we landed. We had a meeting. It was a cold, wintry day. It was in November. And we had the meeting and debriefed the exercise. After that, we were getting ready to launch out. We came out. They still had not quite finished changing the nose tire on the airplane. I was standing there with a couple of Marine generals. We were shivering. There was a E5 and an E6 working on the nose tire. So I walked up, there was a start cart shining the light as it started to get dark, shining the light on the nose tire so these young men could work on it. And I said, "Sergeant, you know, is there anything I can do to help you?" And he looked up at me with kind of a funny look, and he said, "Sir, if you would just stand out of my light." And I've always thought of that, and it's a leadership principle. You know, if you can give people a job to do and then just kind of stand out of their light, everything works just fine. And that's what we tried to do. And we try to do that as we build our successors. One other point is to welcome Denny and Diane Blair. As Secretary of Defense pointed out, Denny is an immensely talented, immensely capable officer. He's savvy, he's experienced, and he's going to be a great sink pack. In other change of command speeches, where I go and I'm an officiating officer, I always like to talk about the new person coming in, and talk about they have fresh eyes, they have a fresh outlook, they've got fresh energy, they see problems in a different way. This change is very good for a command. It's a little different to say that when you're the outgoing commander, but it's nonetheless true. Denny and Diane, we welcome you aboard. You're going to have a great run of this. Welcome to you. Now I'd like to take a moment, if the rain will give us some time, to pass out some richly deserved thanks. And I'll try to go quickly through this, but it's important. First, for my family, starting out, we got some great influence on my sisters and on me. We got a sense of right and wrong. We got the fundamental basis of a relationship, which in fact is the golden rule to treat other people like you'd be treated yourself. We also got a sense of public service, that organizations, communities, nations, our world do not self-sustain. They work with the commitment of people like you and me, and it takes that to make those things work well. I'd also like to give thanks for my early formal education. It was good. The informal education was also good. I've got a friend from Nashville here with me, Willie Hardison. We played football together under the same coach, and he taught us a lesson that sometimes you're the blocker and sometimes you get to run the ball and you don't get to call the plays. And it's equally important that you do just as well when you're blocking as when it's your turn to run the ball. Otherwise, you can never expect people to block from you. It's a great life lesson. Thanks to the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and the Marines who have worked so hard over my lifetime and over their lifetimes too. I've spent most of my time with sailors and Marines. Their sense of duty, they have direction, and they just do a great job. All they need is a little appreciation. They're smart, creative, sometimes profane in our tough world. They do not confuse quality of life, a popular word, with standards of living. They're two different things, and they are willing to spend out their lives in service for you and for me. I also need to thank my bosses in jobs large and small for their influence, the lessons, good and bad, that they gave, their patience with my own mistakes, and their overwhelming integrity and dedication. To the junior officers of all services, their energy, their enthusiasm, their contribution, and their professionalism is something that just cannot be matched anywhere else. It's gone on since the rest of us were junior officers, and it continues now. I'd like to thank also the memory of a classmate of Chuck's and mine who died as a lieutenant, Chuck Parrish. He was a friend, and he was killed in Vietnam. He is now one of Terry Tucker's case number 1236 with JTFFA and his family. The role and the reason I thank Chuck Parrish, he was a close friend, but for the grace of God, our roles could have been reversed. And it's always very humbling to me to think about that and to remember that, and it inspires me all the time. For the friends and acquaintances from whom the military is distant, I also thank you. You have leavened my thoughts, and you've helped me hone and improve my ideas. And then I think it's important to thank the people that we don't even know that have helped us. Through acts of kindness or competence, they have done things that have supplied a piece of the mosaic which has helped our world work well. And less obliquely, I'd like to thank the staff here at PACOM. I've had 3 desyncs, started off with Dave Bramlett, who broke me in and helped me. Joe DeFrancisco was here for 1.5 years or 2, and now General Randy House has just taken up the torch as the desync and done a great job. Foreign policy advisors, ambassadors, the directors, the personal staff that do so much for me. And finally, to thank Suzanne, Brooks, Josh, and now Liz as part of our family. They're at the top of God's great blessings to us. They're supportive. The word supportive doesn't even come close to describing what they do, but they're all one could ask. They're the bedrock of my life. And now, finally, Suzanne and I have enjoyed almost every single day of our military service, but we're easily and humbly, but very eager for the future. And this leads back to, we've gotten into some Northeastern poets here a little bit, but one, Robert Frost, who a poem that we all memorized when we were in school, and actually the whole poem is not relevant to this, but the last lines are, it's I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. I'll now read my orders.
Attention to orders. Will the guests please rise for the exchange of command?
Company! CN Order 3568 of 22 December. When directed by reporting senior, detach as Commander-in-Chief, U.S. Pacific Command. Sergeant Major, haul down my flag.
Secretary Cohen, distinguished guests. Admiral Prueher, thank you very much for a very thorough and informative turnover during the past week. And my wife Diane and I would also like to thank you and Suzanne for the wonderfully warm welcome back to Hawaii. Admiral Chester Nimitz was a predecessor of Admiral Prueher's and mine almost 60 years ago. A few weeks before the Marshall's Campaign in 1943, Admiral Nimitz staged a Texas picnic. All servicemen on the island of Oahu from Admiral Nimitz's home state were invited to attend, and some 40,000 soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines turned out. According to his biographer, Professor E.B. Potter, what began as a little friendly socializing turned into a Texas-size, that is to say gargantuan, beer bust. The famous Army historian, Brigadier General S.L.A. Marshall, happened to be an eyewitness to the affair, and here is how he described it. Nimitz came striding into this scene in mid-afternoon. As one man, the soldiers in this melee quit whatever they were doing to form behind Admiral Nimitz. They marched the length of the park, forward and then back again, whooping it up like a pack of Comanches. Amidst this vast disorder, Nimitz was not only laughing, was not only fully at ease, but enjoying himself hugely, laughing, waving to all hands, signing autographs, while moving at a pace that nearly winded the merry mob. Now, some aspects of Joint Command have changed in the last 60 years, but it appears that some has pretty much remained the same. Admiral Prueher has indeed moved at a pace that has winded the merry mob. I speak for all members of the Pacific Command, for the Prueher's many friends here in Hawaii, and for America's allies and partners in the Asia-Pacific region, when I wish Admiral Prueher and Mrs. Prueher the very greatest happiness and further success as they leave Hawaii. Admiral Prueher leaves the Pacific Command the better for his splendid leadership, and we are all grateful to him. Thank you. On the evening that he learned that he had been appointed to be CINCPAC, Admiral Nimitz wrote these words: "It is a great responsibility, and I will do my utmost to meet it. I can think of no better way to express what I owe to the United States, to her allies and partners in the Asia-Pacific region, and most of all, to the men and women of the Pacific Command, whose representatives you see standing proud here beside me. It is indeed a great responsibility, and I will do my utmost to meet it." Thank you.